Hi friends, welcome to PSC Collegiate English. Today let us look at the songs from Gitanjali written by Rabindranath Tagore. Let us look at songs from 11th song to 20th song. In the previous video I had given a lecture about Gitanjali, the introduction about Rabindranath Tagore and about the songs from song number 1 to song number 10. Please do watch if you need if you need an introduction about Gitanjali, please do watch that video and come to this video. So let us straight away begin from song number 11 from Gitanjali. Gitanjali, which literally means offering of songs to God. So this is the song as such and followed by explanation. Leave this chanting and singing and telling of beads. Whom dost thou worship in this lonely dark corner of a temple with doors all shut? Open thine eyes and see thy God is not before thee. He is there where the tiller is tilling the hard ground and where the pathmaker is breaking stones. He is with them in sun and in shower, and his garment is covered with dust. Put off thy holy mantle, and even like him, come down on the dusty soil. Deliverance? Where is this deliverance to be found? Our Master himself has joyfully taken upon him the bonds of creation. He is bound with us all forever. Come out of thy meditations and leave aside thy flowers and incense. What harm is there if thy clothes become tattered and strained? Meet him and stand by him in toil and in sweat of thy brow. So, this is the song. Let us quickly look at the explanation. The poet raises his voice against meaningless rituals followed in religious practices. The poet asks, what is the use of chanting, singing, and chanting the beads and all? Why should one bother to worship the idols with all doors shut? The poet advises the readers to open eyes and realize that God is not in the superstitious rituals. God is with the hardworking people. God is with tiller tilling the ground and pathmaker breaking stones. God is toiling in the sun and rain. The poet invites the ecclesiasts to put off their holy garments and be ready to be covered in dust. The poet also mocks the idea of deliverance. The poet says, God himself has joyfully taken upon him the bonds of creation and is bound with humanity forever. So, God doesn't want deliverance. Then why should humans expect God to give us deliverance? The poet advises the readers to come out of this religious drama and take part in the toil of life and be ready to stand with God in sun and rain and let the materialistic idea fade away. So, this is actually an attack on the religious practices, which says that God is in the temple, one should meditate upon God. Tagore is of opinion that God is present with the hardworking people. Once you are humble and ready to serve humanity, you are with God. You need not need a separate deliverance, to be with God. Let us proceed to song number 12. The time that my journey takes is long, and way of it long. I come out on the chariot of the first gleam of light and pursued my voyage through wildernesses of world, leaving my track on many a star and planet. It is the most distant course that comes nearest to thyself, and that training is the most intricate, which leads to the utter simplicity of a tune. The traveler has to knock at every alien door to come to his own, and one has to wander through all the outer worlds to reach the innermost shrine at the end. My eyes strained far and wide before I shut them and said, Here art thou. They question and cry, Oh, where? Melt into tears of 1,000 streams and deluge the world with the flood of the assurance I am. This is one of the very important songs. It has deep spiritual meaning embedded within it. We can compare it to Herbert's philosophy also, George Herbert's philosophy. saying that God is, God wants us to surrender to Himself, to give ourselves up to Him. Okay, let us look at the explanation. The poet speaks about the metaphorical journey undertaken by him to find and realize God. He says, God journeys with the first gleam of light and pursues his journey throughout the universe. That means God is omnipresent. The poet has crossed many planets and stars. The poet says only by traveling far and wide can he find God. This is what he thought before starting the journey. The traveler has to knock on many doors before finding the apt one. Only after such experience can he attain the goal. After the tiresome journey, the traveler closes his eyes and finds God. That is, he has traveled wide, he has traveled from planet to planet, from star to star, but then he is not reaching the goal. But once he closes his eyes, he finds God. The traveler realizes that the strenuous journey undertaken was in vain, for God was always within him. So, here we must note of an Indian concept of Tattvamasi that is brought out. The word means God and the devotee are one. It is similar to yet another concept called Aham Brahmasmi. That means I am God. God is within me. You needn't search everywhere to find God. God is within you. So this philosophy is brought out through song number 12. Let us proceed to song number 13. The song that I came to sing remains unsung to this day. I have spent my days in stringing and in unstringing my instrument. The time has not come true. The words have not been rightly set. Only there is the agony of wishing in my heart. The blossom has not opened. Only the wind is sighing by. I have not seen his face, nor have I listened to his voice. Only I have heard his gentle footsteps from a road before my house. The lifelong day has passed into spreading his seat on the floor, but the lamp has not been lit, and I cannot ask him into my house. I live in the hope of meeting with him, but this meeting is not yet. Let us look at the explanation. The poet narrates about his unfulfilled desire to meet God. He says, the song which he came to sing hasn't been sung, the right time for oration hasn't come. Sometimes he feels that his words does not fit properly and only wish to complete the song is present. But then that actual song hasn't come, dawned in his imagination. The blossoms haven't flowered. The poet has neither seen God's face nor heard his voice. The poet knows that God is around by listening to his footsteps near his house. The poet has passed his time in spreading the mat on the floor and the lamp has not been lit. Again, here again there is a mention about Hindu ritual. By the time of twilight, the Hindus light up the lamp. Only after lighting the lamp, it is believed that the god could step into the house. Same concept is used here. The poet cannot ask God to enter his house because lamp is not lit yet. The poet confesses that only preparations to meet God has been done, but the meeting did not take place yet. So that is the meaning of the poem. Coming to song number 14. My desires are many, and my cry is pitiful. But even didn't thou save me by hard refusals? And this strong mercy had been wrought into my life through and through. Day by day, thou art making me worthy of the simple great gifts that thou gavest to me unasked. This sky and the light, this body and the life and the mind, saving me from perils of overmuch desire. There are times when I languidly linger, and times when I awaken and hurry in search of my goal, but cruelly thou hidest thyself from me before. Day by day, thou art making me worthy of thy full acceptance by refusing me ever and anon, saving me from perils of weak, uncertain desire. Let us look at the explanation. The poet praises God by counting his mercy. The poet has cried out loud, but God saved him by hard refusals and strong mercy. God makes him worthy by giving him unasked simple great gifts like air, sky, light, body, life and mind. God always protects him from unwanted desire. The poet says that sometimes he wastes his time and sometimes he rushes towards his goal, but God keeps hiding. With the passage of time, God is making him worthy by saving him from perils of weak and uncertain desires. That is, in this, we can say it is a juxtaposition of both complaint and praise of God. A poet is complaining that God is not giving him everything, God is not making him achieve his goals on one hand, and on the other hand, he is thanking God for saving him from all the perils of unwanted desire. So, that is the gist of the poem. Coming to song number 15. I am here to sing these songs. In this hall of thine, I have a corner seat. In this world, I have no work to do. My useless life can only break out in tunes without a purpose. When the hour strikes for thy silent worship at the dark temple of midnight, command me, Master, to stand before thee to sing. When in the morning air the golden harp is tuned, honor me, commanding my presence. Let us look at the explanation. The poet addresses God in this poem. The poet says that he is here to sing songs in God's praise. The poet has a corner seat. The poet has no work to do. His useless life can only produce useless songs. This is what the poet thinks. The poet asks God to let him stand before God at silent worship at the dark temple of midnight. Once the morning comes, when the instrument and his inner mind is ready, the poet asks God to command him to sing until morning. So, this is the meaning of this poem. Let us look at song number 16. I have had my invitation to this world's festival, and thus my life has been blessed. My eyes have seen and my ears have heard. It was my part at this feast to play upon my instrument, and I have done all I could. Now I ask, has the time come at least when I may go in and see thy face and offer thee my silent salutation? Let us look at the meaning of the poem. This is rather a straightforward poem. The poet is feeling glad and satisfied that he is born into this world and his life is blessed, for he has seen and enjoyed the sensuous joy of life. The poet has used his instrument and he believes that he has done well. He has used his poetic caliber to sing about God and he is very proud of it. Now he asks, when his time to leave this world comes, he wishes to see God's face and to offer silent salutations. So for this much time he was offering praises, he was singing songs, but towards the end he wants to offer only silent salutations to God. Let us look at song number 17. I am only waiting for love to give myself up at last into his hands. This is why it is so late and why I have been guilty of such omissions. They come with their laws and their codes to bind me fast, but I evade them ever. For I am only waiting for love to give myself up at last into his hands. People blame me and call me heedless. I doubt not they are right in their blame. The market day is over and work is all done for the busy. Those who come to call me in vain have gone back in anger. I am only waiting for love to give myself up at last into his hands. Let us look at the explanation of this song. The poet says that the poet wishes to give himself up unto God's hands. The poet has been omitting requests of people who had come with laws and codes to bind him. Poet refers to the way of living in this world, in this materialistic world. In order to survive in this materialistic world, one has to be bound by laws and laws framed by religious community maybe or society. But then these laws are binding the poet. But then the poet says, I am not heeding to any of these laws. I only care about laws related with God. Therefore, since he is such a person, people call him heedless and blame him. The poet doesn't bother because His work for the sake of the world is over and the blaming people have reclined. The poet is waiting to surrender himself to God. So, let us look at the next song. Song number 18. Clouds heap upon clouds and it darkens. Ah, love, why dost thou let me wait outside at the door all alone? In the busy moments of the noontide work, I am with the crowd. But on this dark, lonely day, it is only for thee that I hope. If thou showest me not thy face, if thou leavest me wholly aside, I know not how I am to pass these long rainy hours. I keep gazing on the faraway gloom of the sky, and my heart wanders, wailing with the restless wind. Let us look at the explanation. The imagery of a cloudy, dark, rainy day is given. The poet imagines himself to be the beloved and questions the lover. Why has he left her wait outside the door all alone? During the noontime, when work is to be done, he is with the crowd. But when the climate condition is very sweet, very romantic, the beloved wishes for lover's company. That is, the poet wishes for God's company. The beloved asks if the lover will not show his face, if he doesn't accompany her, how she would pass the rainy hour. The poet keeps on viewing the gloom, and poet's heart wanders with the restless wind. That is, when one is toiling, that is, God is with the hardworking people. But when the time to rest comes, the beloved, that is the poet, wants God's company. Let us proceed to the next song. If thou speakest not, I will fill my heart with thy silence and endure it. I will keep still and wait like the night with starry vigil and its head bent low with patience. The morning will surely come, the darkness will vanish, and thy voice pour down in golden streams breaking through the sky. Then thy words will take wing in song from every one of my birds' nests, and thy melodies will break forth in flowers in all my forest groves. So let us look at the explanation of this optimistic poem. The poem is optimistic in this poem. The poet says if God doesn't speak, he will endure it and bear it and wait until the dark shadowy night is over and his head is bent low with patience. That is, the poet is ready to patiently wait for the time when God will communicate with him. He believes that morning will surely come and darkness will vanish and God's voice will pour down in golden streams breaking through the sky. So he optimistically believes that the time will come when God would communicate with him. Once the dark night is over, God's words will take wings in songs from birds' nests, and God's melodies will break forth in flowers from all forest groves. So that was a very straightforward, simple poem, very much with optimistic feelings. Let us proceed to the last song of this lecture, song number 20. On the day when the lotus bloomed, alas, my mind was straying, and I knew it not. My basket was empty, and the flower remained unheeded. Only now and again a sadness fell upon me, and I started up from my dream, and felt a sweet trace of a strange fragrance in the south wind. That vague sweetness made my heart ache with longing, and it seemed to me that it was the eager breath of the summer seeking for its completion. I knew not then that it was so near, that it was mine, that this perfect sweetness had blossomed in the depth of my own heart. So let us look at the explanation. In this poem, the poet shares his experience. He speaks about his own experience. He says that the lotus bloomed, but the poet didn't pay heed to it. Somewhere lotus bloomed and he didn't notice it. His basket was empty and a sadness fell upon him. Then he started to think, why is his mind empty? Why is his mind surrounded with sadness? Then he feels as if he has woken up from his dreams and a sweet fragrance is spreading through the south wind. The sweet feeling made his heart ache with longing, and he felt the eager breath of summer seeking for completion. That is, somewhere a flower has blossomed, and he is painful that his heart is empty and he is longing for God's love. When he is contemplating on such thoughts, suddenly he wakes up from his dream, and to his sweet surprise, he understands that the poet confesses that he did not know that the flower which was spreading fragrance had grown in his own heart. That is, the poet speaks about a flower which has grown somewhere. Later on, after waking up from this dream, the poet realizes that the flower had blossomed in his own heart. That flower was nowhere different, it was within him. That is, he had realized God within himself. So, this is the meaning of this poem. I think I have done justice by trying to explain all these beautiful songs. So, if you need me to take any more songs from Gitanjali or from any other topic, do let me know in the comment box. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much.